Hey guys, another Legion Talents upload, and this time for the Arms Warrior. Now, the background footage is just footage, that's for Warframe, and I think for the last upload I did one for, well, I used one from Fallout 4, so again, it's just background footage. Now, for this Talents upload, I really wanted to pattern this after the XPack preview video I did, where I mentioned I was looking forward to a number of specs for Legion. So this one should really, well, if I just base it on that XPack preview video, this one should really be about locks, but unfortunately, I don't have enough experience with the class to basically blab about it, so I'm jumping straight into the Arms Warrior tree. Again, this is an early look for the tree, so changes might roll in as the months go by. Now, I've always liked warriors, and I think my first WoW upload featured an Arms Warrior, or a warrior at least, back in Mists of Pandaria. Now, since the start of Draenor, though, I didn't appreciate warriors as much with all the twirling and all that, but yeah, now I am looking forward to Arms Warrior in the upcoming XPack, so basically let's check out the talents tree. The first tier sure is very different now. The usual talents that had you waiting for a bit before you get them are right there on the first row. So you've got Shockwave, Stormbolt, and Sweeping Strike. So the first two picks are still pretty much the same, with the damage and stun effect, with Shockwave maintaining that cooldown reduction if you can sort of group all your enemies together. So it's still a very good CC and a game changer in Arena or BGs. Now, Sweeping Strike sees a change where Arms' Mortal Strike and Execute will hit a nearby second target. So I don't see a rage cost to this particular talent, so I'm guessing it's a passive effect now. So that, yeah, wow, I mean, that sort of reminds me of Heart Strike from DK's, although not nearly in the damage output range that Execute can do. So imagine, imagine striking down two people just like that via Execute. It's really tasty. Okay, so the second tier's theme is confusing, but the abilities look really nice. So Bounding Strike is meant to augment Heroic Leap with a CD reduction and gives you a speed boost, so nothing new in that space. Die by the Sword becomes something you can get early on with the 100% parry chance and damage reduction, also nothing new with this. Now, Impending Victory sees the biggest change, where it now has a chance to proc a 10% health gain from Slam. So that pretty much, I guess, pretty much confirms Slam being a baseline ability, which is looking really good. Now, Slam currently has a 15 rage cost, so it will really depend on how good Slam is in relation to most combat situations, and how much rage you can actually get. Die by the Sword is simply too good to pass up, at least right now the way I'm seeing it, and because of that, you know, damage reduction. Mobility from Bounding Strike is also too good an option to skip, so I don't know what to make of this tier. It will really depend on how things are in live. Tier 3 is also a tough pick with Dauntless, Overpower, and Avatar as options. So the first pick is amazing with the 20% reduction in rage cost for all abilities. So whether you're in PvP or PvE, that sounds really good. Now the second pick is where I feel strongly about Arms Warriors, and it gives me this sort of notion that it's going to be good. Well, I know it's just one ability, but again, we do have Overpower right now, which has that, still has that 60% increased chance to be a crit. Now, instead of the free procs off avoidance mechanics from the older version of Overpower, it now, well, it appears it now will now proc off your attacks. So at the moment, it doesn't specify whether that means basic or special attacks, but I am just glad that Overpower is finally back. Now, the last pick is Avatar, which used to be a late-game talent, so it still has that damage buff and that one-time removal of movement impairing effects. So overall, I like Tier 3. Tier 4 is also looking very interesting. So Second Wind no longer relies on leech or health requirements, but it's now a passive health gain when you don't take damage in the last 5 seconds. So if you can basically just avoid range or distance yourself a bit from melee attackers, then you get a 6% health gain, which is a pretty good amount to get for every second you don't take damage. Now, double time is sort of the same, with Arms Warrior gaining 1 additional use of charge, basically using a charge mechanic. Now, Imposing Roar is a buff to your Commanding Shout ability, which adds a leech effect to it. Now, I have to mention that Commanding Shout is changing in Legion, where it's no longer one of our sort of 1R buffs, but it instead gives a 10-second buff to increase max health by 15%. So Roar now works with Shout to sort of give you some headroom to live, but at the same time, gain some health in the process. So I'm guessing it's the same mechanics where you lose the shout health but gain or sort of maintain the leeched health assuming no other source brings it to 0. Now, double time looks so good in terms of mobility. For the other two, well, I'd like to see how they play out, especially in PvP. Fifth tier is mostly AoE oriented, so you've got Fervor of Battle, Bladestorm, and Rend. So Rend and Bladestorm are pretty much the same talents, with Rend losing the burst damage at the last tick. Now, Fervor simply gives you 2 rage for each target that Cleave and Whirlwind hits. So what's important about Fervor is that I have to mention that Cleave is pretty much the same, but it will now buff your Whirlwind damage depending on the number of targets it hit. So when you couple that with the Fervor talent, uptime on AoE scenarios and PvE scenarios is looking pretty consistent. Tier 6 focuses on your single target abilities with Heroic Strike, Mortal Combo, and Titanic Might. So Heroic Strike is no longer a baseline ability, but it now gains double the bonus from Colossus Smash and is still off the GCD. So basically pooling your heroics is still a thing, and is especially good if you can fit it into a Colossus Smash window. Now, Mortal Combo simply gives you 2 charges for Mortal Strike, while Titanic Might extends the duration of the Colossus Smash window but halves the effectiveness. So that's kind of like the Recklessness glyph or something we have at the moment. The final tier is looking nice with Anger Management, Opportunity Strikes, and Ravager. So far, AM hasn't changed, but Wowhead only mentions Recklessness as the ability to be affected by it. I'm not sure why that is, but I guess that's fine since Wowhead is currently showing Recklessness CD at 1 minute as opposed to the current lengthier cooldown. Also, the 100% chance to crit will only last 5 seconds, so man, if this stays true, ARMS really is focused on those big hits in Legion. Now, Opportunity Strikes is bases its damage bonus on missing health from your targets. So basically, the max chance you get to deal an attack that dishes out 200% physical damage is 30%. Now, Ravager is still pretty much the same talent in the next expansion. I'm thinking right now that if you pair Anger Management with Tier 3's Dauntless, fun times will happen more often than not for ARMS Warriors. And there you have it, the ARMS Warrior talents so far in Legion. Now, it's very exciting to look at it, and it seems to really focus on the ideology of ARMS Warriors being about the big hits and crits. So I really like it so far, and I can see some more consistency in terms of the abilities and talents. What it will really depend on now is live play, and when, you know, basically when you're there testing out your warrior and you know, basically checking whether you get into rage starve situations too much or things of the sort. Well, September is still a ways off, and what's really frustrating is that things look really good so far. So I guess we'll all just have to wait. I guess I'll do one more for these talent type videos for the rogue class. I'm hoping not too much of real life gets, you know, my attention so that I can do that. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you.